we're out here in the shop today doing a little bit of taxidermy work. I finally got all the stuff in to repair Danielle's elk antlers. The bull she killed this year's rack was broke off right behind his royals, behind the fourth point on both sides. He was missing both his back forks. We're going to fix him up. We're going to try to surprise her for her birthday and get this done, so I got to keep her out of the shop a few days. First thing I did was got this thing on a stand and set the antlers about how it'd be on the elk's head if he was just walking natural. I took some wires and I shaped them pretty close to where the antlers are going to be. And what I did here was drilled a hole down in here, right in the center of the broke off section, down in at an angle to get as much meat as I could on my wires. As you can see right here, you can see this epoxy in here. I've just put a high grade epoxy, like a two-part epoxy, like a Gorilla Glue. I took a smaller wire, run that epoxy all down in this hole good, coated my rod good, and run it down in there and got it set right before it dried. To replicate that texture, what I did is actually right in here I got a hot glue gun and just run it back and forth with a hot glue stick. You see, I'm just making me a little mat of this hot glue right down in a good textured part of this antler. Okay, now once this dries, we'll take those off and we'll use those to press our texture back in. You can see the texture right here. When I put my hand behind it, you can kind of see the background of these hot glue pieces that I just took off of the antler. And you see this one right here has got a lot of texture. That's the one that come off of the brow up there. I've ordered 3 different sets of epoxy sculpt. And what I've got a white, a natural. The natural is kind of a gray, and a brown. And there's the natural, there's the brown, and there's the white. And I'm going to mix a little bit of this up, just kind of see what coloration I can come up with besides just a base gray. See if I can get it a little bit more brown. You can see right here, to mix these epoxy sculpt, about the easiest way is just go to twisting it. And then roll it up, twist it again. That's the fastest way I found to mix it. Go to mixing this and see what happens. What I'm going to do, I'm going to put a little rough texture on it first. I'm going to wet this hot glue stick. Just pressing it on there like so. And you'll see the texture coming in that epoxy. Oh yeah. Okay, I just got the right side epoxy work done back to the split, and it's looking pretty good. You can see the texture in it. Color's off right now, but we're gonna get the color right. We'll blend that in, tie all that in good. I think it's gonna look pretty good when we get done with it. Okay, we've let it dry. I actually let it dry 2 days. Now I'm gonna mix about half and half of the epoxy sculpt, the white and the natural gray, and I'm gonna finish out the forks with that. You get your ivory tips here, and if I mix that gray and white, you can see I come up with a color pretty close to that. And I can tie that color in a little bit better than I can that brown on these ivory tips, because there's not gonna be much brown up here on these tips anyways. If you'll wet your hand just a little bit, I keep a cup of water right here. You wet your hand, that epoxy sculpt won't stick to your hand as bad. You can press it down, get it to tie in good with your wire or your epoxy or whatever you're tying it to. Once you get this epoxy sculpt about how you want the size of the antler and all, you're going to have to wet your fingers and kind of work it into place a little bit. So, starting to shape up a little bit, starting to get this one point pretty close to done as far as shape and all. Alright, one more tip for antler repair that's pretty important. When you get done, get your antler shaped like you want it, smooth it all down good with water, and then wipe the fingerprints off. It looks right. We just got to get the color right. We get the color right, we'll have it made. As you can see here, I mean, the antler come up turned. We're right in line with that turn right there. We're back the right distance. Alright, I'm going to try to get some pretty good close-ups putting this texture in there so you can see how it's going on. My stand in the shop's a little bit shaky, so bear with me on that. Here, if you're looking at it, is I put some curves in this antler. This isn't just a straight antler. The elk's natural horns, you can see right here, you can see it's got curvature in it. So when I added these points, you can see I added some curvature in it. I got these tips roughly the diameter I want them. I've got this rough end of this rasp. I can put some gouges in it and then sand them down, and it's going to look pretty natural. That looks good. Looks good. She's ready to stain. Sand these joints in just a little bit right there on the outside. We're going to use some white possibly for the antler tips up in here, so you know it'll blend in white. We're going to use some diver gray right here, and that's going to be our base coat. Black umber. This is number 29. These are polytranspar lacquer based paints. They'll blend in, so if we put gray on here first as a primer coat, then we hit it with this. This is going to basically go through all of the gray, and it'll go all the way into the base of it. So the gray is just like a primer, and to help blend all this, we'll come back, hit it with this, tie it all in, and then once we get all the deep penetrations in the texture colored dark, or to match all of this antler down here pretty close, we'll come back and hit it with some gray, possibly a little white on the outside, and that'll give us all of this lighter color. You can see right here on the edge of this, that'll give us all of this. This is our base coat here. This is basically our primer, is what we're doing. Alright, we got our white and some gray blended in. Got it tied in a little bit closer to how it's going to be. So I'm going to come back in with the burnt umber and see what it's going to look like. Another little trick that we can do is once we get this dark down in here, I can put just a little bit of lacquer thinner on a paper towel or something, take a little bit of this dark off of the outside edge, and then come back with the white over the top of it, or the gray, and it should tie in pretty nice. The good thing about this is we can keep adding, taking away, back and forth until we get it like we want it. You know, we got time right here. We're gonna get this right. All right, basically got the burnt umber. The more of it you apply, it's kind of a light brown. If it's got a thin coat, it darkens up real nice, almost into a black if you keep applying it, if you get it thicker. So it's a real good color to tie in taxidermy work with. You can see I've got this pretty close to the same shade as this down here. The only difference right now is we don't have our lighter color on the outside. I'm going to actually take some of this dark color and back off, and it should leave what's down in the texture on there, and then we're going to lightly brush back on some of the lighter color, see if we can make this color pop and come out close to what we got here. Alright, I've got the antler pretty close on this left side. I've got some darker inlay. I've got this gray and white blend on the outside. And what I've got right here is some antler stain. Number 1, I think I got this from Mackenzie's. You can get it at the taxidermy supply. Different places. And what I did, I just put just a little bit on a napkin, and I'm just lightly overcoating this antler, just a little bit. I don't want to totally cover up the ivory tips, but if you look, you can see these other antlers have a little tanner tone to them, and that's what this is going to do for us. It's just going to tan this paint up, kind of tone that paint up to more of a natural rubbed antler look. Kind of brushing it lightly off of them tips to let them tips shine a little bit. Let some of that lighter color come back through on them. It's pretty nice. I'm gonna tell y'all what, it looks pretty close. Pretty close. Danielle's bull went from that to that. It's pretty nice. Y'all know some of these women want you to take them out to eat for their birthday and their anniversary and the day you met and all this stuff. Want flowers. I don't know. Mine's a little bit different. Y'all watch this. You record?
Yes. Oh my gosh. Oh wow. You did good. Yeah. Oh my gosh.
Pretty nice, huh?
Yeah. Speechless. This is so awesome. I said I get emotional just each time on this. I don't know. I didn't realize that Bradley had been out in the shop repairing my antlers from Colorado, the Elk Antlers. And so he did repair on them. And he just surprised me for my birthday. Is that Cody's?
Danielle.
Oh.
Do the elk dance.
You like my rack?
Do the elk dance. I can do a TikTok out of this one.
It's my rack.
I do like your rack.
It's my rack. There goes Dylan. Y'all see this nice bull? Y'all see it? It's huge. So, I'm still overwhelmed by the bull. Anyways, y'all make sure y'all subscribe to our YouTube channel. Bradley puts a lot of work, seriously, all jokes to the side. He puts a lot of work into the videos. That's it for now. God's country, hunting and fishing, keeping it real.